New tonight, a woman who says she was victimized at a Walterboro church wants her voice heard. Pastor Ralph Stair, charged and convicted of various sex crimes, died over the past weekend. News 2's Katie Turner spoke with a woman who says she was abused by Stair, and she says she wants her words to be the last words about him.
The Overcomer Ministry announces the passing of our dear brother, Prophet R.G. Stair.
The end of life bringing both relief and outrage.
The victims, us victims, our voices are silent forever.
Convicted sexual predator Pastor R.G. Stair died in the comfort of his home before ever facing a judge and jury. For victims like Stacey Yates, that court date was their hope for closure.
We never got our chance to face our perpetrator in court. And we feel the courts of South Carolina owe us an apology for the mismanagement of our case.
For 7 years, Yates lived on a compound in Walterboro with dozens more of Stair's followers called the Overcomer Ministry. She says it was a trap she fell into at a vulnerable time in her life.
Because I was sex trapped at 17. And then I jumped into the ministry because I wanted to give my life to God. And then I jumped into a cult unknowingly and couldn't leave for 7 years.
The dark and twisted stories of Stair's religious leadership first came to light in 2002 when 2 young women came forward accusing him of sexual assault. He was arrested, convicted, and spent 77 days behind bars. The allegations went quiet for years until 2017 when more victims, including Yates, brought their stories to police.
It took decades for me to come forward with my story.
Stair facing more charges of criminal sexual conduct this time, many involving children, but he was released on a $750,000 bond.
He's like a megalomaniac almost.
It was around that time when Joseph Lewis met Stair and began filming a documentary on the truth behind the Overcomer Ministry.
He just kind of lived on this farm, on this land that he owned with all this freedom. And, he just kind of continued doing what he did.
For Yates, the opportunity to stand before Stair and tell her story was robbed. Still, she's determined to speak up for herself and all the victims of the Overcomer Ministry.
It's like, I just want a last say for the victims and just to say, you know what, we really are the true overcomers. We overcame.
That was News 2's Katie Turner reporting. Stair passed away this past weekend at his home in Kennedy's. He was in his late 80s.